Romanya'daki Türkiye programından hepinize merhaba. Gündemimiz bir yıl önce, yani 15 Temmuz 2016 tarihinde Türkiye'deki Fethullahçı terör örgütü kalkışması sonucu meydana gelen olaylarla ilgili olacak. Önce İngilizce olarak hazırladığımız kısa bir jeneriğimizi size sunacağız. Ardından Türkiye'nin Bükreş Büyükelçisi Sayın Osman Koray Ertaş Bey ile yaptığımız bir mülakatı ekranlarınıza getireceğiz. Daha sonra Türkiye'nin Köstence Başkonsolosu Uygar Mustafa Sertel Bey'in birinci yıl değerlendirmesini alacağız. Programımızı Sayın Büyükelçimizin yine bir yıl önce 31 Temmuz 2016 tarihinde Mediafax'a verdiği bir röportajın görüntüleriyle tamamlamış olacağız.
A group within the Turkish army associated with the Fethullah terrorist organization attempted a coup in Turkey on July 15th, which claimed the lives of at least 238 people. The attempt failed spectacularly when the Turkish nation showed an exemplary resistance in support of the republic and democracy. What is FETÖ? Fethullah terrorist organization, which is led by US-based preacher Fethullah Gülen, emerged in 1970s as a movement providing educational services. FETÖ claims to be a provider of education, and its members, governed by a strong infrastructure, promote themselves abroad as volunteers of education and peace. However, a closer look at the organization will show that they conceal their real identities in Turkey and in other relevant countries as they settle into critical state institutions like the army, judiciary, security and intelligence units, and a bureaucracy with a variety of identities: Democrats, Socialists, Liberals, Conservatives, Nationalists, Atheists, or as any other suitable ideological forms.
Dünyayı sırtınıza alıp taşıyabilecek güce ulaşacağınız ana kadar, o kuvveti temsil edeceğiniz şeyler elinizde olacağı ana kadar, Türkiye'deki devlet yapısı ölçüsüne göre bütün anayasal müesseselerdeki güç ve kuvveti cephenize çekeceğiniz ana kadar her adım erken sayılır.
This reveals the actual aim of the organization, which presents itself as the Hizmet service movement in the countries it operates. What is its aim? It infiltrates strategic institutions by seemingly functioning as a school, cultural center, professional organization or non-governmental organization, and with the aim of seizing control of the state. Under their religious ideology, FETÖ considers it legitimate to engage in all kinds of self-defensive deception, conspiracy, trap, and illegal activities to achieve its objectives. With years of confidential training and dissuasion activities, members of the terrorist organization have gained a level of professionalism beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. Its members operate with a radical devotion and see themselves as the chosen ones. They switch identities and commit all types of illegal acts, including murder if need be. What happened on July 15th? On July 15, 2016, a FETÖ group nesting within the army attempted a coup through force using Turkish fighter jets, tanks and helicopters. The attacks were directly aimed at killing unarmed innocent civilians. Tanks plowed over citizens on the streets who were protesting against the coup. FETÖ bombed the presidential palace, parliament, police and public buildings. People in the streets who protested against the coup in Ankara and Istanbul were shot and bombed. They also tried to assassinate President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. During the coup attempt, a total of 173 civilians, 63 policemen, and 5 soldiers were martyred, while nearly 2,200 people injured.
Sayın Büyükelçim, Romanya'daki Türkiye programına hoş geldiniz.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Şimdi biliyorsunuz yarın 15 Temmuz 2016'da Türkiye'deki Fethullahçı terör örgütünün başarısız ve kanlı kalkışmasının yıl dönümü. Efendim Türkiye'de olup biten tam olarak neydi? Bize onu anlatır mısınız?
Indeed, it is already 1 year that we experienced this bloody coup attempt by Fethullah terrorist organization, which as an acronym we use FETÖ. On that day, we even do not want to call it as a military coup attempt. It was actually the bloodiest terror incident in our history. Because in this attempt, we lost 250 lives, including many civilians, and also there were more than 2,000 wounded people. And all this happened by the ammunition, the lethal weapons of our own army. The officers, the soldiers that we were taking were loyal to our state, used fighter jets, they used tanks, and they used this in the middle of our cities, on the streets, and they did not hesitate to direct all these weapons, which are actually bought by the taxes of our own nation, towards our own people, not only in Istanbul or in Ankara, but in some other cities as well. So it was a dramatic event. It created a huge trauma in our society, and we are still dealing to leave this trauma behind us. Now 1 year has passed since this ill-fated coup attempt. There have been various cases which were opened by independent courts in Turkey. The exact number is actually 78. There are 78 different court cases in more than 20 cities of Turkey. Many evidences were collected. Indictments were accepted by the courts. And we have witness statements, we have culprit statements, and all of them suggest that this heinous coup attempt was perpetrated by the disciples of the FETÖ members in the army, with the support of many different civilians in different parts of the state, and also their disciples in the police as well.
Efendim Türkiye'de olup biteni pek çok dostumuz ülkeye bile anlatmakta sıkıntı çektik. Esasında biz sıkıntı çekmedik ama demokrasi anlamını ve kavramını dillerinde düşürmemelerine rağmen bize pek anlamak istemeyen ülke oldukça fazla oldu. Bu açıdan baktığımız zaman dost Romanya'daki konumuz ne oldu? Roman dostlarımız size kendimizi anlatabildik mi? Ya da onlar bizi anlayabilirler.
You are unfortunately right. We did not receive the support that we were expecting from some of our European allies. It was too late, too little, and in the immediate afterwards of the coup attempt, instead of showing solidarity with the people of Turkey, with the elected government of Turkey, they started to deal with the issues of the putsch itself. Indeed, Turkish people embraced its democracy, its basic rights, because as you know, this is not the first time that we have endured a military coup attempt. In the short Turkish history, we had many military coups, and the Turkish people said enough. We are not Turkey of 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We are a mature democracy, and nobody can take our liberties, our fundamental rights, by using the weapons of the military. And in this case, we realize that it's not even, as I say, a military coup attempt. It is an attempt of FETÖ group within the army who would like to get control not only the country itself, but the whole state structures and apparatus. We are trying to explain to some of our partners in Europe that how this group is detrimental and will be detrimental to their national interests as well. Obviously, there are some circles in Europe, notably with the huge efforts of the Gülenists in these countries, that they are trying to portray a Turkey which democracy and democratic credentials are not observed, and they are doing everything that they can do to try to portray a very ugly and dark picture of my own country, which is not the case actually. The Turkish people embrace its democracy, saved its democracy, took part their elected leaders, and when they are doing this, they didn't do it on ideological lines or political lines. All opposition parties, all political parties, or NGOs, all media organizations were against this ill-fated attempt by the Fethullah terrorist group. So, unlike some circles in Europe tried to portray, it was a real attempt by the Fethullah group to try to take whole control of the country. But luckily, our nation, our citizens went on the street and prevented this heinous attempt.
Şimdi efendim bu darbe girişiminde bulunup başarısız olan kişilerin yargılama süreçleri devam ediyor. Biz işte hakim sanık arasındaki diyaloğa, savcı sanık arasındaki diyaloglara baktığımız zaman anormal bir şey gözükmüyor, hukuka aykırı bir şey gözükmüyor. Diledikleri gibi de konuşuyorlar ve tavır koyuyorlar. Buna rağmen dışarıda, dış ülkelerde işte yapılan yargılamanın adil olmadığı, hukuka aykırı işlerin yapıldığıyla ilgili de bir sürü iddiaları var. Sizin gözleminiz nedir? Bu açıda Türkiye'deki durumunuz nedir? Yargılama süreciyle ilgili.
There is indeed a strong misinformation campaign about Turkey. This misinformation campaign actually did not start with the coup attempt, but it started before. And behind this campaign, we see again a strong imprint of FETÖ members living in Europe and in the United States. There is now an attempt, a serious attempt, in many countries of the world, trying to portray that all these cases and trials are not free and fair, and they try to undermine the independence of the Turkish judicial system. But as you rightly suggested, when you see on TVs the shootings of the trials together with the suspects, we all see how every right of all these suspected individuals are being observed to the full extent. There are allegations of even torture, for example, which is also baseless, because ill treatment is not tolerated in the Turkish system, and Turkey is among the few European countries who actually demolish the principle of lapse of time, given the case of torture crime. So if somebody is found to commit torture, for example, let's say 15 years after he committed the crime, he can still be tried according to the Turkish law by the Turkish courts. You all follow from the Turkish TVs how these culprits, how these former generals or soldiers appear in the courts, talk freely, and defend their rights with their lawyers, and you see how they are, given their full rights in line with the rule of law and full defense rights. But given this reality, because of this disinformation campaign carried out by the Fethullah group, people are trying to portray that these trials are not fair. In any case, as you know, Turkey's judicial legislation are subject to European Court's review, and there is also a mechanism of individual application to the Constitutional Court. So it's quite difficult for someone to argue that the judgments of the court are not fair and impartial. At the end of the day, all these trials and their results will also be probably challenged in the European Court, and the whole world will see how these court cases are actually moved in an impartial manner.
Ve efendim şimdi Türkiye'de işte 40 yıldan fazla yapılan bir hazırlık ve kendi tabanına karşı ikiyüzlü bir örgüt, kendini olabildiğince iyi gizlemiş bir örgüt. Bugün bunu anlayan bütün vatandaşlarımız, Türk vatandaşlar bundan taban anlamında boşaltmış durumda. Romanya'da da bunu gayet rahat görüyoruz. Sadece tepedeki organizeyle uğraşan bir avuç grup. Ve bunlar sürekli işte sosyal medyada ki şu andaki en büyük şeyleri de o ve başka bazı ülkelerde gördükleri desteklerle sosyal medyada sürekli sanki tekrar yeniden başarılı olacaklarmış, işte bunlar bugünlerin geçici olduğu gibi bir algı yaratmaya çalışıyorlar, şey yapıyorlar. Yani bu tip hareketlerin dünyadaki emsalleriyle de kıyasladığımız zaman tekrar başarılı olma şansları var mı? Toplumdan tecrit edilmiş, fil dişi kulelerde yaşayan bir avuç grubun başarılı olma şansı var mı ki hala daha bunlar bizim insanımıza bunu empoze etmeye çalışıyorlar?
FETÖ is a clear example of radicalization based on personality of cult. They see Fethullah Gülen as Messiah and the Imam of the universe. This is a term that they are using. We are not inventing it. And they name themselves as Golden Generation, so that everybody was, waiting for this group for many years. They base their arguments on some fake hadiths, which they fabricated themselves. So they are seeing themselves as a divine group. It's a perverted Islamic ideology, and one of the differentiating factors of this group is the fact that they conceal themselves. They have dual personality. On one side, to the public, they just try to portray that they're moderate Islamic movement. They want to embrace all religions, all faiths, and etc. But in reality, when you follow their Turkish or their ideas that are shared in the Turkish language, you will see how radical they are, how they have an argument to be successful throughout the world, not only in Turkey, by using this distorted Islamic ideology. Obviously, after the coup attempt, as you say, in Turkey, millions of people were shocked, and they say it's no more, because some people in the country were seeing them as they were portraying themselves as a benign, moderate Islamic group. But obviously now millions of people and the whole nation now sees them as a threat, as a perverted group. Therefore, to their followers, this fake news based on, when they create actually stories and try to use some urban legends and say, well, the day will be ours, just resist more. They are sending messages to their followers in prison so that they will not just all become confessors.
Şimdi efendim bir de bizim milletimiz zor günlerinde, yani tarihine baktığımız zaman böylesi zor günlerde kendi arasındaki kırgınlıkları, küskünlükleri çok çabuk unutup atlatıp dayanışma içerisine girme gibi bir özelliğe sahip. Bu olay da bize bunu gösterdi. En azından Romanya'da bile bunu yaptık. Siz bütün vatandaşlarımızla teması olan birisi olarak bu yeterli miydi, bu bizim birliğimiz, dayanışmamız? Ne gözlemlediniz bu konuyla ilgili?
Indeed, there is an important tenet of the Turkish society and Turkish community anywhere. Even if you have differences, for different reasons, for political reasons, for ideological reasons, on certain occasions, when our country is enduring difficulties, we have the ability to get together and to unite together for the same purpose. And after the coup attempt, indeed, our community members of different opinions united again. On the very first day, people actually rushed at the embassy. They came here to support the democracy in Turkey, to support the elected officials of our country, to support the liberties of our people. As an ambassador, I'm proud of them. I'm proud of each members of our community here. Obviously, we will have different ideas, different worldviews, different expectations from the future, and different world visions, and different visions for our country as well. But when it comes to the future of our country, when it comes to major threats like this, like the threat of FETÖ against Turkey, for instance, we will continue to unite and act together. And I'm grateful to all our society members, and I would like to extend my gratitude from your channel to them.
Biz efendim Fethullahçı terör örgütünün güç aldığı kaynaklara baktığımız zaman bunun sadece Türkiye için değil, dünya için de önemli bir tehdit olduğunu, dünyanın değişik ülkeleri için de pek çok ülkesi için de önemli bir tehdit olduğunu, tehlike olduğunu görüyoruz. Bu konuda bir şey söylemek ister misiniz?
We believe that FETÖ is threat to every country where it operates. And FETÖ is active about in 150 countries in the name of schools or organizations or foundations, whatever it is. Because for these people, all these front organizations are instruments for their ideological targets. And the ideological target, as I say, to create this golden generation of perverted ideology of religious motivated philosophy. So we saw it clearly 1 year ago how this perverted group can be so detrimental for our own national security. And we will continue to warn all our friends and partners elsewhere outside of Turkey that these people will also be, today or tomorrow, for sure, be a national security threat to the countries where they operate. And we also share these views with our Romanian friends as well, with our Romanian partners at the official level. Obviously, we are grateful for the Romanian government, for the Romanian presidency, from the early hours of the coup attempt last year, for their strong support to Turkish democracy and for their empathy with our country. And we will continue to deepen our strategic partnership in every field, notably in the field of economy and trade, no matter what happens in our countries. And we will continue to be a strong strategic partner of Romania.
Efendim programımızın süresini dikkate alırsak benim sormak istediklerim bu kadar. Sizin ilave etmek istediğiniz bir şeyler varsa onları alalım. Programımıza katıldığınız için de tekrar teşekkür ediyoruz.
I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Today is an important day because this is not the anniversary. It's not the anniversary of a trivial thing. It's an historic day for us. We, on one side, deeply commemorate and honor our martyrs, 250 souls who lost their lives in defense of democracy and who died at the hand of FETÖ members. But on the other side, we also celebrate the victory of democracy in Turkey. We are doing this everywhere, inside Turkey and outside Turkey, where Turkish communities live. So I would like, once again, from your program, to show my deepest respects to our martyrs who lost their lives, and also show our deepest gratitude to their family members and to all friends who actually defended our democracy by risking their lives. I invite all our community members to the commemorative events that we are organizing in Bucharest and in Constanța. Thank you.
Teşekkür ederiz efendim tekrar.
Ia liniște, vă rog, puțină liniște, vă rog să luați loc.
Așezați-vă confortabil și admirați noile canapele și saltele de la Salt Comfort. Salt Comfort, cele mai bune saltele și canapele din Prahova. Indiscutabil. Prețuri și calitate fără concurență. Salt Comfort, în Ploiești, strada Gheorghe Doja numărul 150 și în Urlați, strada Orzoaia de Jos numărul 60. Salt Comfort, îți livrăm odihnă.
Ai nevoie de un laptop performant? Fă o alegere economică și inteligentă, cumpărând un laptop refurbished de la it1.ro. Magazinul online it1.ro îți oferă laptop HP ProBook cu procesor Intel Core i5, memorie 4 GB, Windows 7 Pro instalat gratuit și garanție 1 an la accesibilul preț de 1100 lei.
Transformă-ți casa într-un spațiu sigur și primitor cu noua generație de uși. Megador combină siguranța cu un design modern perfect adaptat locuinței tale. Megador. Calitatea face diferența.
Ai nevoie de un laptop performant? Fă o alegere economică și inteligentă, cumpărând un laptop refurbished de la it1.ro. Magazinul online it1.ro îți oferă laptop de Latitude cu procesor Intel Core i5, memorie 4 GB, Windows 7 Pro instalat gratuit și garanție 1 an la accesibilul preț de 1100 lei.
Efendim programımızın haftanın konuğu bölümünde Köstenya Başkonsolosumuz Sayın Uygar Mustafa Sertel Bey'i ağırlayacağız bu hafta. Hoş geldiniz efendim programımıza.
Hoş bulduk efendim, teşekkür ederim.
Oaspetele nostru din această săptămână este Consulul General al Republicii Turcia la Constanța, domnul Uygar Mustafa Sertel. Bine ați venit în programul nostru.
Efendim biliyorsunuz yarın Türkiye'deki kanuni Fethullahçı terör örgütünün kanlı ve başarısız darbe girişiminin 1. yıl dönümü. Bu vesileyle neler söylemek istersiniz bize?
După cum știm cu toții, mâine se împlinește un an de la tentativa nereușită de lovitură de stat organizată de organizația teroristă Fethullah. Ce doriți să ne transmiteți cu acest prilej?
Efendim, 15 Temmuz, bundan tam bir yıl önce ülkemizde meydana gelen darbe girişiminin hakim bırakılmasının 1. yıl dönümüdür. FETÖ darbe girişimi alışılagelmiş türden bir kalkışma değildir. Bu teşebbüs, Türkiye Cumhuriyet tarihinin en kanlı terör eylemidir. Darbeciler bu kalkışmayla demokratik yollardan seçilmiş hükümetimizi ve anayasal düzenimizi hedef almışlardır.
15 iulie este data la care, exact cu un an în urmă, tentativa de lovitură de stat din țara noastră a fost dejucată. Tentativa de lovitură de stat a FETÖ din 15 iulie nu este o insurecție militară obișnuită. Această tentativă este cel mai sângeros act terorist din istoria Republicii Turcia. Scopul puciștilor a fost acela de a înlătura guvernul ales democratic și ordinea constituțională.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza suikast girişiminde bulunmuşlardır.
A fost o tentativă de atentat la adresa președintelui nostru.
Darbeciler, Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi'ni, Cumhurbaşkanlığı Külliyesi'ni, Milli İstihbarat Teşkilatı karargahını ve Özel Harekat Merkezi'ni bombalamışlardır.
Puciștii au bombardat Marea Adunare Națională a Republicii Turcia, Palatul Prezidențial, sediul central al Organizației Naționale de Informații și Centrul de Operații Speciale.
Bu ülkemizin silahlarıyla 250 vatandaşımızı şehit etmişler. 2000'den fazla vatandaşımızı yaralamışlardır.
Au ucis 250 de concetățeni și au rănit peste 2000 de persoane folosind armele țării noastre.
15 Temmuz, Türk demokrasisi ve devletimiz için bir güç ve sebat etme sınavı olmuştur.
Pentru democrație și statul turc, 15 iulie a fost un examen al forței și hotărârii.
Bütün siyasi partiler, Türk Silahlı Kuvvetleri, emniyet güçlerimiz, sivil toplum kuruluşları ve basın darbecilere karşı ayağa kalkmıştır.
Toate partidele politice, forțele armate turce și forțele de securitate, societatea civilă și presa s-au ridicat împotriva puciștilor.
Türk halkı darbecilere karşı büyük bir cesaretle tankların önüne çıkmışlar ve demokratik haklarını talep ederek büyük bir direniş ve tarihi bir dayanışma göstermişlerdir.
Poporul turc s-a împotrivit, dând dovadă de spirit de sacrificiu, ieșind în calea tancurilor, cerându-și drepturile democratice, oferind astfel un model istoric de solidaritate.
Onlar sayesinde Türk demokrasisinin gücü ve devletimizin bekası için verilen bu sınavı başarıyla geçmenin gururunu yaşıyoruz.
Datorită lor, suntem mândri de a fi trecut cu succes examenul forței democrației turce și continuității statului nostru.
15 Temmuz'da ortaya çıkan yaşamsal tehdit ülkemizde derin travmalara yol açmıştır.
Amenințarea vitală apărută pe 15 iulie a cauzat traume profunde în societatea noastră.
Hala ülkemizin varlığına yönelik bu tehditin üstesinden gelmeye çalışıyoruz.
Încă depunem eforturi pentru a contracara această amenințare la adresa existenței țării noastre.
Ülkemizde son bir yıl içinde yürütülen hukuki, adli, cezai soruşturmalar sonucunda 15 Temmuz'da neler olduğunu ve faillerini daha iyi anladığımızı düşünüyoruz.
Considerăm că după amplele cercetări administrative, penale și judiciare desfășurate pe durata ultimului an, am înțeles mult mai bine ce s-a întâmplat pe 15 iulie și cine este autorul din spatele evenimentelor.
Faillere ilişkin 23 ayrı ilde toplam 78 dava yürütülmektedir.
În 23 de provincii din țara noastră sunt în curs de desfășurare 78 de procese la adresa făptuitorilor.
15 Temmuz darbe girişiminin hakim bırakılmasının 1. yıl dönümü vesilesiyle darbe girişiminin hemen akabinde ülkemizde dayanışma sergileyen Roman makamlarına şükranlarımızı sunuyoruz.
Cu ocazia primei aniversări a dejucării tentativei de lovitură de stat din 15 iulie, mulțumim autorităților române care în perioada imediat următoare au demonstrat solidaritate cu țara noastră.
Bir yıl önce ülkemizde yaşananlar bu örgütün başka ülkelerde neler yapabileceğinin göstergesidir.
Ceea ce s-a întâmplat în Turcia în urmă cu un an arată ce poate face această organizație și în alte țări.
Romanya'daki sağduyulu Türk toplumu 15 Temmuz darbe girişimine tepki olarak devletimizin yanında güçlü bir duruş sergilemiştir.
Comunitatea turcă de bun simț din România, pentru a protesta împotriva tentativei de lovitură de stat din 15 iulie, s-a aflat cu hotărâre alături de statul nostru.
Bu çerçevede darbe girişiminin ilk anından itibaren devletimize desteğini ifade eden vatandaşlarımıza, soydaşlarımıza teşekkür ediyor, şükranlarımızı sunuyoruz.
În acest sens, mulțumim coetnicilor și cetățenilor noștri care și-au exprimat încă din primele momente sprijinul față de țara noastră.
Demokrasiye ve ülkelerine sahip çıkarken hayatlarını kaybeden aziz şehitlerimizi rahmetle anıyor, gazilerimize minnet duygularımızı ifade ediyoruz.
Îi amintim cu respect pe eroii care s-au jertfit în lupta pentru apărarea democrației și țării noastre și ne exprimăm întreaga recunoștință veteranilor.
Teşekkür ediyorum.
Biz teşekkür ederiz.
Vă mulțumesc.
Çok sağ olun.
What is the situation right now in Turkey? Can we still talk about a democracy, considering the suspension of the Convention of Human Rights?
The situation is pretty much normal in Turkey. We were all shocked to see this coup attempt like 10 days ago in this day and age in a European country. Of course, it was shocking for all of us, but now everything's under control. I actually take it with sadness to have a question whether Turkey is still democracy. Of course, Turkey is a democracy, and it will continue to be as such. We are now facing with a tremendous threat to our democratic institutions and also our constitutional order. So that's why we are taking certain measures to preserve our democracy, actually.
And considering so many people were arrested or fired after the failed coup. What were the accusations for all these people?
The coup was directed by Fethullah Gülen terrorist organization, which we call in abbreviation as FETÖ. So FETÖ members have been clandestinely intruded into different state institutions, including notably the army, the police, and other key state institutions. Now what the state itself is trying to do is to clean all FETÖ members who have intruded in these institutions from these key state positions. The ones who are actively involved in this particular coup attempt will pay dearly, of course, the consequences. But the rest who are sympathizers and members of them, it will depend on particular crimes that they did. It's again, the law will say. Anyone who has nothing to do with any particular criminal act is of course safe and innocent. It will be the Turkish justice system who will decide on these things. And by the way, individual redress mechanisms are available even during state of emergency. So people who think that the prosecutors or judges are wrong in their decision, they can make individual application to Turkish Constitutional Court, and further they can go to the European Court of Human Rights.
How about the football player Hakan Şükür? Why does he risk prison?
I'm not sure with the particular allegations about him by the legal authorities, but we all know that Hakan Şükür is one of the most prominent Gülenists in Turkey. And he's actually not hiding it. He says he's a Gülenist himself, a Gülen sympathizer. So I don't know what he did particularly, but anyone who supports and who give active support and member of this terrorist group is also a danger and threat for the Turkish state. And I believe our courts will take necessary measures.
How do you comment the allegations that are coming and some really powerful images from Turkey with soldiers with hands tied behind their back? Those are the allegations that the Turkish government is using torture.
We categorically reject the allegations of torture. There is no torture in Turkey beginning from 2000s. It was all Turkey in 1980s that we were talking about systematic torture in the country, but there is no more, and it is documented as such by almost every European institution, notably the CPJ of the Council of Europe. In terms of mistreatment to all these detentions, the Prime Minister himself made it clear that any misbehavior to these suspects will be punished as well according to the law. So obviously anything which is not suitable to the legal parameters will be penalized.
How about the death penalty? Is there a chance that Turkey will reintroduce the death penalty for those responsible for the coup?
The discussions of death penalty is pretty premature in the society now. Of course, the public in general is so angry and furious what has happened on the night of July 15. Because these coup plotters, these pushits, they used the Turkish warplanes, tanks, armored vehicles, and killed civilians without thinking anything. Now 10 days passed from the coup attempt, and we now see horrifying details of what they were planning if they had succeeded in this attempt. And among this, they plan to literally cut the whole civilian life in the country and kill the democracy. They were even planning to put a whole travel ban to Turkish citizens who were wanting to go abroad. So that's why people are so angry, and there is a demand in part of the society of introduction of death penalty once again in the Turkish system. But as I say, there is a lively discussion about it. Turkey, back to your first question, is a democracy in the end, and one person or one political party cannot decide on major issues. It should be the decision of the people, and of course it should be the decision of the parliament. In the parliament, as far as I see, there are parties who are opposing the introduction of death penalty, and there are parties who are supporting it. So as I say, this is a very premature discussion at the moment. What I can say is we are well aware of our international obligations.
Also, a lot of Romanian citizens are going to Turkey, are tourists. What can you say about that? Are they safe in Turkey right now?
Life is normal in Turkey, and I call on our Romanian friends to read more about the country, not only read these negative coverage just portraying Turkey, as kind of a country like Syria, where people are killing each other and there is, no security. To the contrary, especially in coastal regions, people are happily enjoying their lives. In major cities, everything is going normal. The only extraordinary thing is in the evenings people go out to the streets to celebrate the victory of the people and the democracy. Other than this, things are functioning pretty fine and there is no security concern in my country.
How about the foreign policy of Turkey? Is there a shift after the July 15? Is Turkey going to go rather to Russia and Iran than the European Union and NATO?
For decades, and especially after 2000s, there have always been talk about whether Turkey changing course, shifting its foreign policy, or returning its back to the West and turning its face to the East. These were all discussions that has come up depending on individual events. So again, we are having this discussion whether Turkey is shifting course. No, Turkey is not shifting course, obviously. But we have to have a solid and strong relationship with our major neighbors in the region, including Iran and Russia. And we have already had solid and strong ties with these two countries for decades. So nothing is changing actually. Our strategic choice of being part of Europe and being part of NATO is strong and valid. In terms of NATO membership, there's nothing to talk about it because we are a very old NATO country and we will remain as a strong ally of NATO. In terms of EU membership, obviously we are not happy with the treatment that Turkey has been subjected by some European capitals for years now. So we'll see what will happen on that front.
About the European Union-Turkey agreement about the migrants, how is that going right now?
The agreement is still functioning. It's still valid. So as I say, some of the press try to portray after this coup attempt as if things collapsed in Turkey and democracy is not functioning in the country. But institutions are working properly now. Nothing is extraordinary. So this deal is also working. Our security institutions are in place. We continue to protect our borders, especially on the agency, and to prevent these illegal passages of potential refugees.
How about the ally presence in Black Sea? At NATO summit in Warsaw, President Erdogan underlined the fact that it should be more ally presence in Black Sea. Is the same the situation? Because Romania wants more presence. It is a Romanian initiative. This Turkey still supports that?
Of course, we are in close contact with our Romanian friends. As 3 NATO countries in the region, there are some differences in terms of what kind of presence should be in the Black Sea. We obviously want to see more presence of standing naval missions of NATO in the region with full compliance with the Montreux Convention. On that front, nothing has changed actually on Turkey's position.
How about the Gulen schools in Romania? Have you any requests for the closing of those schools?
Gulen schools are dangerous to Turkish national security in Turkey. So we saw it quite dearly, actually, because the ones who graduated from these schools, not all of them, obviously, but some of them took part as active Gülen members in state institutions. What we say is not only in Romania, but everywhere in the world where they have schools, that governments should be very careful of the intentions of these people. In the Romanian case, I behaved very carefully not to direct any specific accusations to the schools here. I only said one thing. I said Gülen sympathizers have school in this country. This is the only thing that I say. And recently I just read an interview by one of their directors of their school. He resembled Gülen to Mihai Eminescu or Karacali. So it's kind of interesting and funny to see what Gülen means for these teachers, resembling it to these giant figures of Eminescu and Karacaliye. So this is the only thing that I say. I can only advise caution to parents. And what also I can say is that there are many Romanian Turkish families, who came to us and asked for support because they want to take their kids from here, from these schools, because they know the reality in Turkey. And what we advise them, to these Romanian Turkish parents, is that they should trust the Romanian education system. They should give to their kids to Romanian high schools, which are giving higher education at a very quality level, and there are other alternatives in the country as well.
But you not asked for the schools to be closed.
It's not, as I say, us as a foreign country, to dictate something to our strategic partners. We are making our warnings, and it is the Romanian authorities who will decide on this.
I asked that because the consul from Constanța apparently said the Turkish foreign minister asked this. And it was not clear on that statement.
No, he didn't say such a thing. It was already closed. I had a meeting with Foreign Ministry, and I will also meet with Minister of Education. So the thing is, the Romanian institutions, the state authorities, it's up to them to decide what to do on these schools.
Ia liniște, vă rog, puțină liniște, vă rog să luați loc.
Așezați-vă confortabil și admirați noile canapele și saltele de la Salt Comfort. Salt Comfort, cele mai bune saltele și canapele din Prahova. Indiscutabil. Prețuri și calitate fără concurență. Salt Comfort. În Ploiești, strada Gheorghe Doja numărul 150 și în Urlați, strada Orzoaia de Jos numărul 60. Salt Comfort. Îți livrăm odihnă.
Ai nevoie de un laptop performant? Fă o alegere economică și inteligentă, cumpărând un laptop refurbished de la it1.ro. Magazinul online it1.ro îți oferă laptop HP ProBook cu procesor Intel Core i5, memorie 4 GB, Windows 7 Pro instalat gratuit și garanție 1 an la accesibilul preț de 1100 lei.
Transformă-ți casa într-un spațiu sigur și primitor cu noua generație de uși. Megador combină siguranța cu un design modern perfect adaptat locuinței tale. Megador. Calitatea face diferența.
Ai nevoie de un laptop performant? Fă o alegere economică și inteligentă, cumpărând un laptop refurbished de la it1.ro. Magazinul online it1.ro îți oferă laptop de Latitude cu procesor Intel Core i5, memorie 4 GB, Windows 7 Pro instalat gratuit și garanție 1 an la accesibilul preț de 1100 lei.
Haftaya yeniden buluşuncaya dek her şey gönlünüzce olsun.